Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen, Forrest over here, and welcome back to more Ace Attorney Trilogy. Last time, last time we did get involved in last time we were involved in an investigation that took us the whole 2 hours that I usually like to stream for a session. But we finally got it taken care of, but now we are at the third day, the third day of the trial of Lana Sky. So, without further ado, let's begin. February 24th, 9:41 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Let me fix my camera real bit there. Actually, it's a little off center. And, good enough. Let's do this. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Sky. We found trace evidence of a crime of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer James Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you want to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do whatever you have to do, Mr. Wright. February 24th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? Very well. Excuse me. Very well. Let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Yes, they are, Phoenix. Yes, they are. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir! I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir! My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir! Oh my god. No, that's not what he meant. He meant before you were charged with the crime. Whether you're guilty or not is to be determined, but in other words, yeah. Um, so you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir! I'm the one who did it! I'll never kill anyone again, sir! You've gotta believe me, sir! Actually, what we like to get from you is, sir! I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir! A person whose action adults can't possibly comprehend! Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir! Officer Meekins. Yes, sir! Give us your report of the crime. Consider that in order. Yes, sir, as you wish! After all, I am part of the generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Where do you see the enthusiasm in that? To me, that sounds more like he's kind of forced to do something here. Like he's ordered to do something, obviously. And even then, every generation has to be told what to do, even if they don't like being told what to do. The only time I feel like people should not be told what to do is when it involves hate, is when it involves trying to teach a kid, trying to teach a person about hate. In which case, get the fuck out. In my case, get the fuck out of here. Because hate has no place in my area. In this in all the streams and videos that I do, hate has no place in this house. Not a single ounce of hate allowed in this place. If you feel hated, or if you feel hatred in your stomach, leave that at the door or you're not coming in here. Simple as it gets. Witness testimony. Crime report, sir. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and I rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do unto to others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. So that's going to tell you to press this man. Cross-examination. Crime report, sir. Why? Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I am in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes. Now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by the chief of detectives, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After that award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, well that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is! I found it! This is the one right here! Would you please read us the number? Yes, sir, it's 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see. Huh? But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time is when I went to the go get him after everything settled down. I see. So it was during that second time when? Yes, sir. That was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Data added to the ID card record. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. So you were attacked. Could you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir! A knife! Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be. When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. What exactly do you mean by when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into Kung Fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife? I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood, and then the next thing I knew... Yes? He punched me right in my face, sir! After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious! Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain! That's nice. It's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir. The Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Grant delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief delivered it? What is that? A videotape? Something today's generation will never understand. Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room.
Objection!
What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? So we started from the left to right. We see the blue badger. And then we go to the right, we see nothing. So we pan to the left. We see a man in a white trench, someone with a white trench coat. And then we pan back to the right. We see this person opening something that falls out of the locker. And as we pan back to the left, you see Officer Meekins sneaking up from behind this man. Or at least trying to sneak up behind the man. But then, as the camera pulls back, the man turns around, slashes him in the face. They have a brief struggle, and you see something. But just as the action happens, it's off screen. So then, when we pan back to the right, we see Officer Meekins down on the ground. He didn't get murdered. No one got murdered. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire Criminal Affairs Department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Security video added to the court record, and this will be important for this trial. Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the defense witness did indeed encounter, someone in the evidence room, and some sort of, activity did take place. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir! As you wish, sir! Witness testimony. Mystery Man. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. I don't think so, because there's something about that video that I think we should look at. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Cross-examination. Mystery Man. You guys know me enough to know that I do this all the time.
Objection!
Yeah, you guys will see what I mean here, because I'm going to be playing through the videotape here in a moment. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. You would want me to point it out. Very well. Proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video? This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Detective Goodman? Alright, so first off, how did he become a police officer? Don't ask. Oh. That glove. So it's that glove, because if you notice, as the door was opening, the glove falls out. How did the glove fall out? Why would the glove fall out of that right there? Like, it makes no sense. The things that's strange about this video has got to be this. Yes, that is strange. Something seems unnatural about that. What could it mean? Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wright, but you seem to have forgotten the point of this exercise. The point? What you are looking for is one thing and one thing only. Something that indicates the man may not be Detective Goodman. Oh yeah. Cool. I almost walked right into the defense's trap. I'll place him under arrest, sir! Rats. I need to slow down and tackle these things one piece at a time. Now what do I do? That's funny.
Take that!
Oh. I did not mean to do that. Let's try this one then. The thing that's strange about this video... Officer Meekins. Sir! Oh, yeah, because the light... I was thinking of the glove, but also the light is also there too. Because if the light was on, that means the door was open. If you notice, all the other doors had their lights closed, had their lights off. So, but that light was on, but yet it looked closed. Something's not right there. Let's see what happened. Sir! Do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, the sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, the light turns on and the lock is released. Also, that pictured person in that locker, That person will be important later. Twice. But not right now. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Ah! Order! Order! What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know. It must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system's sensor? That's where the glove comes in, actually. Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well. Let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out this. So I actually was going a little bit more, a little bit too far ahead. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. So yeah, we see this. He opens the locker and out pops the glove. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car doors, sir. We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was instead inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, mine that chills me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But, sir, by insulator you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door?
Take that!
I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir! Order! 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 So are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility, and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir? Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well. Begin your testimony. Witness testimony. Mystery Man 2. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. An ID card record. I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime. Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for a transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. Cross-examination. Mystery Man. So unlike the earlier testimony, you believe this to be rock solid, do you? Yes, sir! Solid as stone, sir! If my hand wasn't wrapped in bandages, I'd be given the V for victory sign, sir! Couldn't he just use his right hand for that? Let's hear him out fully. As we've seen, one never knows what he might say until the very last second. To enter the evidence room, one must use your ID card. Is that card hanging from your neck one of those ID cards? Yes, sir! This card right next to my cuffs, sir! I leave it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my time gets stuck when I get out of my car? Well, the remaining time it's my ID card that gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Please proceed with your testimony. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman? What's the matter? According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here. So it is, Your Honor. United States, not that prosecutor again. Hey, maybe he's behind all this. Being a prosecutor, he's behind the evidence. Mommy, is that man in blue a murderer? Shh, don't stare at him. You got the wrong radar, kid. It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked a man to show his ID card, he put a knife on you. Yes, sir! He didn't show me any ID card, sir! Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't have been any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked? Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Mr. Wright, what do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with this ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth would miss something like this. You're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show them what we've got. There's one of the things that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. You guys don't mean enough to know I like to save.
Objection!
Because remember, I picked the ID card because if you remember, Meekin said that the man attacked him instead of showing them his ID card. Now, if that was Goodman, they wouldn't have had any issue with showing their ID card. But somebody, the person there was not Officer Goodman, and they knew if they were to try to show their ID, they would get exposed as not being Detective Goodman. So, yeah. Wait one moment, Officer Maitland. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card, right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Like the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe there's something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Maitland's encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Maitland's encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... Well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well, it seems you've finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means the murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the murder of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The murderer being Miss Gonna Sky, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment that defendant used the murder weapon. Ah! I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim of Sir Maitland's encounter? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana... What do? How am I going to get out of myself in this mess? Yeah, you know I like to save when I'm in the middle of making a question here.
Objection!
1 moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has been prevented one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the victim's actual number. The security video did not show the actual murder. Oh shit. Jeez, I just dozed off for a little bit there. That thing actually woke me up a little bit, jeez. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the underground parking lot. Did I miss something here? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything there at the back. It was kind of funny though. It turned on, I thought it was crazy. But anyway. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Like Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything that Phoenix said after the slam down on that. Yeah. But anyway, specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident of the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Oh, Walker? No, I know who it is. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh? Whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then. Mr. Wright, this person whom you would have testified, what is his or her name?
Take that!
Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. February 24th, 11:32 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Of course you would do this. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky! That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SO9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SO9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. This guy was a witness? SO9 incident files received from Lana Sky. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana! This SL9 incident. Is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No. No, Lana! That's over with! No! Emma, wait! She ran away. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. James Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not even to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. Before we go in there, let's take a look at this. Incident number SL9, closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark, crime, serial murder. Sentence, death. Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Trial data, head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses, Lana Sky, Emma Sky. Investigation Task Force. Executive Investigators, Damon Gant, Lana Sky. Head Investigator, Bruce Goodman. Investigators, Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. I just wanted to read that real quick before we moved on. I'd like to take a look at this file, which we already did. But we already looked at it, so right now let's move on to part 2 of this. We're doing both parts of the trial. Yeah, we are going to go ahead and do this. We're going to do the latter half of the trial as well. Because it is all one big trial day. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, Courtroom number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly across intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Witness testimony. Day of the crime. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Cross-examination. Day of the crime. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker with them, who interned the recordings. You interned them? Videos of nothing weren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual was recorded, tapes had to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erased the tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy's a player for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room? They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No, Desperado, I know let's rules. No, Desperado, I know let's rules get in his way. No, Desperado, I know is join the police force. Oh, Detective Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck to the victim's locker. Do you have anything about that? Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, I can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room protected by 2 security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you're used to the evidence room in the past, right? Of course, back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Oh, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you backwards. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the door locked, but on the locker handle seems to cannot be seen. It's a well-known fact. Anyone that some detectives are reactive, not aware of their presence. Detectives are aware of their presence. And that's it. Now that he mentions it, Detective Lumshoe wanted this sensor like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Could you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel State lunches to beat their parlors on gold sepia pasta. You mean to tell us? you absolutely abandon your WWE political duties to repeat some funerals? Not at all. Right. Not all desperado needs tacos, Pop. Why am I talking like Edward? Not all desperados can eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope that this has taught you a lesson. That's strange. That's strange. It's usually where Edward says, "Did you not waste a single year? Do you not want to waste this year off?" I'm just an innocent traveler man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. That's right. That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to take the pen, and sure to do this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just a waste of my time. My steel horse is waiting for. My steel horse is back. Is waiting to carry me back west to the. One citizen's fear. Is why being abandoned. Is why being brought in like this. Like, let's see. Is why being responsible for providing the evidence. The witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. If there's no doubt about orders from anyone. Dancers don't take orders from anyone, everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, I'd better up the ante. Then I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I say, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know has rules in his way. The desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, are you the witness? It was between you and me. I didn't say put the evidence from the other day. There was a rubber glove stuff in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in this set. I've been in that trip since weeks. Understand what being fired, that's a good question. I know I'm trying to go back and forth between looking at something and not reading the lines to reading the lines. I know it's getting kind of old and I apologize for that. But we're moving on. Besides, the Zoom's protected by two security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, well, afterwards. Gold Mountain Gold Mountain in the day, my locker was a gold mine evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the lock handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of these presents. Now that I've mentioned that the second function would sense to like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was at the street lights alert at the time I went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even ate those steak lunches to beat that parlor's one goal recipe pasta. You mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. The usual record says, did you not want to raise this year? Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's my partner, or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Nixon don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Resave here real quick.
Objection!
Yep. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? Oh, he knows something's about to go down. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that trip. I pay my respects. I just make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints will be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? No blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, a luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall, it seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well. You may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. I'm actually gonna do something real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, just give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Press on button. Okay, I have returned. I have gotten me some tea and so yeah, so I got me some tea, did a little bit of something else that we didn't, don't really, It's kind of irrelevant unless you guys want to know for a fact that I did put some food in the fridge. That way I got something to eat for later. But in any case, that's not important right now. We're moving on. Very well. You may begin your process. Found at the scene of the crime. So now we're going to talk about the fingerprints. Witness testimony. Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprints are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? Had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy is hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Cross-examination. Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now though is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing this. Marshall's fingerprints updated in the court record. Found on a bloody handprint of Marshall's own locker. The print had been wiped. One of them just happened to be in the same place as the blood-stained handprint. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. Like cereal, the food, and cereal, like very dangerous, I guess we could say, or what? I don't even know what that mean would be. Like, the only thing for cereal is like serial number, but also you have the more dangerous things like serial killer. You know, things, serial. Well, I'm just gonna stick with serial killer because I don't want to go any further than that. But you guys get my point. One's got to do with breakfast while the other's a type of murder. Right. Although seemingly alike, they are totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. I don't either, Phoenix, I really don't either. Or did you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh, yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves. happen to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? You want to tap reading this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera is panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they couldn't leave the room without being caught on tape.
Objection!
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present. Please do so now. You know how I am whenever I'm met with a decision I have to do this. If there's anything on the security tape, let's see here. See, I'm looking at the security tape because I feel like something's on here that we need. Unless there's a light that comes on in this locker. Wait. Wait a minute! I noticed something there. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. See if you notice, we got something here. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this locker right here. Oh, wrong button, sorry. We're gonna fast forward it. See how it's still empty the first time, the second pass. Third pass still empty. Fourth pass still empty. What is this?
Take that!
Bringing our attention back to the security camera. It's a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. Ah, jeez. Prepare myself. Prepare myself just because why not? Alright. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker room shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then, it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! It would seem that only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stepped it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call you bluff. You say open that locker, now prove it. You really want me to prove it? Okay then.
Take that!
Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say? In 8 words or less. I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order! 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 Witness! Explain yourself! If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Away! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Maitlands didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Officer Marshall was standing right here. So Officer Maitland's didn't notice him standing there. That's almost as credible as Maitland's warp theory. Your chamber's empty, partner. Better reload. Now they're ganging up on me. Perhaps you should think a little more about where Officer Marshall was. Officer Maitland should have seen him in the evidence room. That means the only place he could have been would be... He'd have to be where the... Man, I wish I could see where the Blue Badger was, because I know he'd be behind it.
Take that!
I can actually use this. Where was the,
Take that! Take that!
Yeah, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Maitland's witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Maitland did not know Detective Goodman? He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, yes. And how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me! Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Catch up my controller in a second. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Maitland would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. Well, you got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that, impressive detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your fear, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't taste the desert heat. Ah! This can't be happening! It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Felix, try thinking outside the box. Outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that proves out because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Oh, this will be fun. I think we know what the answer is, though. Okay, first of all, that's not what I wanted to do. There's blood on his jacket. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end. Yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Maitland's barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Maitland's panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. Witness testimony. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Maitland. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew it juries wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Mathens managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. Cross-examination. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting of... Oh, wait a minute. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? Yes, on 9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transfer on that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's card and detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could have because the rubber glove had just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Measles. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Measles and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Measles certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you lost Mr. Officer Beaton's out and managed to escape. I knew it cherries wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. I forgot to, I forgot to press those two statements. So you did your research beforehand. Those who've been into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in the struggle with Officer Beaton. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Beaton doing during this time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Oh, shit. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. Yeah, we already know why. Because there's another person in the files with the last name of Marshall, and I don't know if we heard about his brother at this point, but that is a big issue. That is a big thing here. I'm just checking on something here. Give me a second. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Leo Marshall. He handled the SO9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, then the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was a part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dart. My brother fought Dart and was killed. That was the first time Dart left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dart. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SNI case could be reopened. Not satisfied with this resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meathans confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
Objection!
But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Objection!
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remains the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Hold it! Your Honor! Wait! Emma! The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? In a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SR9 incident referred to the Jodar killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with this crime. With the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you! Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plan, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. Whenever I need to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on the Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Yeah, there is.
Objection!
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those war plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray that offense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Why, it's the blue badger panel.
Take that!
What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So? So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in? Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found in the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize the defense claims that the murder of some Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman. Another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well. Then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that could show that. Now then, when the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Oh! Oh! Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had to learn, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a look of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 777777. I'll command a lucky number. But wait! That doesn't make sense! How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 77777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 77777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777777 belongs to someone with the rank of Captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous! Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge. You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Objection!
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. You're a little executive. Lana?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777777. Don't blame me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing. About that incident. The SO9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Did you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Offended? Just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh man, we're getting to the bottom of it all now. But, in any case, what time is it right now? It is 12 o'clock. Let me see something here. Let me see something here because I want to make sure on something here before I do anything else. Okay. So, hmm. See, I did finish this episode of it all. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see. Let me check my schedule here because I have a work schedule. Because I am employed. I do have a work place of work. So if my thing is telling me correctly, what I could do is I will go. What I'll do is so as you guys know, today is Saturday. So I'm gonna finish this here. But as I already said I was gonna do on Saturday, I will be playing the Silent Hill game that I've heard about. And I want to stay for and I want to say this again in case anybody didn't read the community post. That stream, and I will say it again on that stream as well, and I'll put it on the title. That stream will be 18 plus only for uh for reasons that were told to me by a friend of mine who didn't spoil the game to me, but has told me that there are things in there that uh anybody that is not suitable for younger audiences. So that's why I'm putting it as a 18 plus stream for that one. He told me it'd be about 2 hours, so we'll see what happens in that game. But in any case, at the same time on Sunday I will be playing a different game. I'll start making a schedule for everybody to see, so that way you guys don't have to worry about missing anything or like me just doing something on the fly. You'll know exactly what I'm doing when I'm ready. Like as soon as it happens. I'll start doing that here soon. Then we'll be doing that next week on this Sunday. I'll be setting out a schedule because I did already announce that Saturday I will be playing the Silent Hill uh game the free Silent Hill game that came out recently. Um, because by a popular vote of, to my knowledge, was like 4-1, 4-0 when I last did that poll. When I last looked at it after 24 hours, people wanted to see it, so I'm gonna do it. So yeah, that's gonna be what's gonna happen. But with that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this is Forrest Walpole signing off.